So I'm just going to get this and then just maybe a couple of these. And then like I just need all of the things. Hey guys, what's happening? Has that ever happened to you when you first start getting your planner, you get into minimalist planning, and all of a sudden you sort of feel like you need to buy all of the things that are associated with it. So in today's video, we're going to be going through my planner, but I will show you the top 5 must-haves if you wanted to get started with minimalist planning, and what are some things that are nice to have and what are something that are essential. So without further ado, why don't we just dive right in? Okay, so first and foremost, if you wanted to get into minimalist planning and you wanted to kind of create your own inserts, the very first thing that you will likely have to purchase is obviously a planner, something that sort of holds all of your different inserts in one place. I end up going with the Notique planner. I love this planner. This is like a vegan leather. A lot of planners out there obviously use something different. You can get something something inexpensive from Amazon. The sky is the limit, really, but I'm just going to show you what mine looks like. So you get a little tab over there. You also get a pen holder. Mine is actually a 6-ring, and then there's a bunch of folders at the front and also at the back. Let's move on to item number 2. Okay, so the next thing that you would likely want to do once you've gotten yourself an empty shell, essentially, as a planner, is simply obviously going to need some inserts. So the very basic inserts that I would kind of recommend, I literally just took the section out because I wanted to kind of keep it simple. I don't want you to visually get overwhelmed by what you're looking at. So you will likely want dividers. So these are some clear glass dividers. I did put some sticky notes on there, but these are a little bit thicker stock. They essentially just play the simple role of dividing the sections within your planners so you can easily flip to the appropriate section. Moving on to number 3. The next thing that I think is absolutely important and essential for you to actually keep on track are your actual inserts. So the inserts that I'm going with, that I would recommend as your very bare bone basic, is your monthly. So here is your monthly that this particular one that I'm using is from Cloth and Paper. You can buy downloadable ones that are a little bit more inexpensive. It honestly will really depend on your own planning style and the way that kind of like your brain functions, of like how far ahead do you want to look. But I personally prefer to have a monthly layout, something very simple. I really love this one only because at the top I have the previous month and the upcoming month, and the boxes are big enough that if I want to, I can write within the boxes. And I also have a section on the side where I can make notes or I can make quick reminders, and then I can use whatever system I'm using to kind of make notes on there of what's coming up for the month or what are my reminders. Now, I wouldn't use these boxes for anything excessive personally, because I don't think that that's what it's designed for. You can use like you can use it like little dots or like color coordinate them, and maybe you can make your notes on the side. Nevertheless, but you can kind of keep it very, very simple and clean if that's the look that you're going for. I haven't seen too many people really write a ton of things here, so it just honestly, it'll really just depend on how you end up using it. But having a monthly layout to me is essential. Now, the next insert that I wanted to mention, so let's say you have your monthly inserts and you're rocking and rolling and you have your divider. What other insert I would actually recommend? The next insert that I would recommend that you're going to be using on a regular basis is your weekly layout. This is one of the dated layouts that I bought at the beginning of the year from Cloth and Paper. And the reason why I like it is because it really divides your pages into half, which is super functional for me. And the other thing to note about this is that it gives you some top priorities that you can focus on for the week. It gives you a huge note section, a little calendar here, and then each day you have a section for a schedule. Now, I will say this. When it comes to weekly layouts, a lot of it will really depend on you getting to know your own planning style, trying out a few different styles and see sort of which one works for your planning style. And I say this because sometimes you might be looking at a layout that you absolutely love. It looks stunning, it looks really aesthetically pleasing, but the way that your scheduling works, it might not suit that particular insert. So just keep that in mind. This is why I generally enjoy perhaps undated layouts a little bit more, because with undated, you not only download it, but if you mess it up, you can kind of start again. For me personally, I really love this layout. I know it works for me. I know I use this regularly. I don't leave this neglected. It's just this one works for me great, but I have bought at the very beginning of the year a few different layouts for weekly, and I will maybe pop a picture of it here on the screen so you guys kind of take a look of what are the ones that I was kind of playing around with, because that, like, a lot of it just depends on like how much writing space you need and what are you going to be tracking, and are you going to be using this for more your personal life and your work life when you write down like all the things that are kind of going on with you during the week, or are you going to need something, a weekly layout that's going to be a little bit more specific. We will get more into this in detail in the nice to have section, because I don't necessarily think that you need a separate insert for all of those things, but you might prefer to have a separate insert for all of those things. So we have gone through so far that you need a planner, you need some dividers so that you can kind of section them off, you need your monthly inserts, which I just shown you a moment ago, and right now we're on the weekly inserts. Let's move on to the next thing that you need. That will be number 5. The next insert that I think would be super helpful, especially if you're just getting started, this is called the journal insert, but I kind of call it almost like a note section. So whether you get something like this that is almost just blank, it gives you some dates so that you can write in today's date. You can circle off what today's date is, like is it Monday, or like which day it is, and then you have a section where you can kind of make your notes, whatever it is. These are fantastic for brain dumps, for planning things out. I have used them for business meeting outlines. I have used them for video outline ideas. I have used them for both business and for personal. I have also used them for journaling. Essentially, this is a journal insert, so it's really designed so that you can kind of make notes about whatever. But whether you get something like this, or you simply get just blank pages, or you get something that says notes where you can write in like today's to-do list, or something that you don't want to forget, or just a place where you can place your sticky notes, like the possibilities are endless of how you can use them. So the reason why I'm suggesting this is because sometimes whatever you're trying to make a note about might not fit into that specific insert. It might not fit into your monthly, and it might not fit into your weekly, or you might not choose to write it into your weekly because it's way more writing than you want. That's when these guys, I end up gravitating to these so much more, and I find them so helpful because it relieves that stress of, oh my God, I need a new insert for that. You know what I mean? Like, it really removes that desire of just consuming more. Now, as you might have noticed, so far the must-haves that I've talked about are very much just your bare bone basics when it comes to like kind of putting your planner together. Now, I will add one more thing that I'm sort of adding sort of an asterisk to this, and these are your dashboards. Not just because they're aesthetically pleasing, but also because they provide security. So they provide you with a little bit of privacy. So they provide you with a bit more privacy, especially if you're using your planner at work and then you wanted your sections divided where you don't want people to kind of look at. Well, first of all, let's hope that nobody's going to be really looking at your planner, but you know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to kind of divide sections where like nobody can kind of look at it, these are fantastic. The other reason why I love these is because visually they sort of pop something. And if you know anything about me, you know that I'm all about energy work, and you know that everything is energy. So the things that you're looking at will absolutely affect the way that you relate to them. So if you keep things bare bone basics and minimal, I think you still should add some elements that really make it elegant, and it makes you feel really just something that is just a little pop of color or a little pop of something that inspires you. Now I'm adding an asterisk to this because this can be both very functional, but also it's one of those things that are nice to have. So I'll explain that in the next section in a moment. So let's move on to, now that we've finished the must-haves, what are like the things that are like nice to haves? So nice to have inserts to me go back to things like daily inserts. I will show you a picture of the recent daily insert that I have that I'm sort of testing out right now. Okay, so this is a fantastic example of like a daily itinerary of, so Cloth and Paper just came up with this as of last month, and this is a nice to have. This is something where if you find that you're more of a daily planner where you need to literally write out your schedule, there's just so much going on, you need to kind of keep track. So it's almost like you need like an entire page to kind of keep track of all of the things. Like you want to kind of look back on how the weather was, what were your daily things to do, what did you eat, and anything and everything that kind of came up that day. Then the daily inserts are definitely for you. I think that the daily inserts are fantastic for that. I don't reach for these very often because I don't need, like, I don't make my planning style all about, like, I don't kind of combine that into like a journaling entry, so to say, but some of you do. And I think that that's great. So again, a lot of these inserts are going to be all about figuring out your own personal style. So daily insert is going to be one of those things. Another one that I wanted to mention is your financial insert. You might choose to, so here's just a quick snapshot of it. You might choose to really have within your planner all of your financials. So like you want to kind of keep track of your expenses. You want to create like, a savings plan or keep track of all non-essential planning. And like you're keeping check on the stock market. Then I think that purchasing a separate insert just for that, where you have like your entire financial health right in here in front of you at your fingertips, I think is fantastic. You might choose to have separate weeklies within your planner for fitness, for mindfulness, for your goals, or for your business. So for your business, you might choose it for like social media. If you're running an online business, or you might be running a brick and mortar business, then you might need a completely separate weekly that you kind of keep track of, where you don't want to kind of commingle that together with your normal weekly that's more for your personal and your family life. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I think that, so let's go back to dashboards. So on dashboards, these are nice to have if you end up getting something like the Cloth and Paper subscription box, or if you go online and you go to any of the Etsy stores and then you get different dashboards, and the nice to haves where you're buying different inserts all the time. They're great. I think that it's lovely when you can kind of switch out your style, you switch out with the seasons or what have you. I think that it can get overwhelming. So just my only sort of caveat to this is make sure that it doesn't become one of those things where you're just collecting things and it really doesn't make a difference in how you relate to your planner. You know what I mean? Okay. The next thing I wanted to mention, and then now we're finally getting into the nitty gritty of it, of what are some of the extras when it comes to stickers and things like that, that I think are sort of essential versus, functional versus like something that's just nice to have. I'm literally throwing all of the stickers into nice to haves because I personally don't think that you need them. I don't think that within your planning style, that will be the thing that will tip you over the edge. Now, and I say this carefully because I have a ton of them. But I also say this carefully because I find that, and I'm saying this from experience, where it didn't make a significant difference whether I have these or not. They're nice to have. And I would also like to cover like sort of how I use them. I'm not going to show you all of them. Obviously, I have a ton of dot stickers. And I think that if you're just starting out and if you're looking to just invest in beyond what I've already shown you, if you're looking to invest in some of the stickers, then I would go with dot stickers. The reason why I say that is because they're translucent. So these are all transparent that I have. There's so many different ones. Etsy is literally flooded with them. Cloth and Paper is also fantastic with like their teardrops. They have different shapes, so they are obviously awesome. But the way that I like to use them is to color code. So if I'm making notes about business, if I'm making notes about fitness or about meals or about whatever, or a quick reminder, it adds a quick pop of color. And I also like to use these in my monthly view and color coordinate things that that I want sort of to pop. So they're fantastic for that. So you might choose to get more icons. So like I have some for obviously for YouTube, for filming, for Instagram, Zoom, a few things that would say like to do and payday. So some of these are fantastic just so that you add a little pop of something into your daily view. I don't find that they are as essential as I once thought that they were. I thought that when I was getting started, and maybe you feel that way too when you're getting started with planning, is like, oh my gosh, I need all the things, and you really don't. The next thing that I wanted to mention is Ollie Clip. Oh my goodness. So like the whole thing with Ollie Clip, I have a few of them. Again, they're very functional to keep certain things within your planner together, especially if you get into things like layering. So like here, this would be a great example. So let's say I want this that's added on there. I wanted to kind of layer this. So it's great at holding things together, and it's great at marking sort of what day you're on. Super cute, right? But is this essential? No, because this is all for visual appeal. So I don't consider this essential. I think that this is a nice touch. It makes things easy to pop to certain pages. I also consider these things, the spotlight page flags, same idea. I can add them into my planner. I think that they are fantastic. They make my planning life super functional because I just pop to the day. I can just pop to the section that is essentially kind of coming up. So like if I wanted to kind of open up my planner somewhere where I marked it, it's right there. So last thing I wanted to mention are journal cards. So journal cards, super popular. You see them all over Instagram. Very visually appealing. They're like small little cards that you can add into like the inner pocket of your planner, right? You can also leave them on your desk and what have you. If you find that visual messages or motivational scripture, you really resonate with that, because some people never even look at it. You know what I mean? Like some people just overflood their inserts to a point where like you don't know what you're looking at because it's so overloaded with stuff, so that the visual stuff it doesn't have enough contrast to kind of pop so you can kind of look at it and actually read it. Like this says, just be in the moment, right? Like eventually your eye gets so used to looking at this that you're no longer reading it, which means that it's not fulfilling its purpose of what it's intended for. All of these things, they are fantastic when you're using them appropriately, when you're using them to inspire you, when you're using them to motivate you to kind of do new things. But when it's no longer fulfilling that purpose, then it's sort of like it's just one extra card that you have in your stash that is just there. Do you know what I mean? So be really intentional about the things that you're putting into your planner, because it does affect the way that not only how you relate to your planner, but how you use it, and how likely are you to come back and to refer back to it. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. You don't have to get too deep into it to woo about it, but I'm just kind of mentioning that when you get into like this overwhelm of things, you might not actually end up using as much of it as you think you will. So this is all I wanted to share with you guys. I would love to know how is your minimalist planning journey sort of going, and if you have a minimalist planner, I would love to hear from you. Comment down below and let me know what is your one essential insert or one essential planner item that you cannot live without, because I would love to hear from you guys. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you found this helpful and useful, first of all. And if you did, you can, you know, obviously support the channel by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. We do talk about planning, anything and everything planning tips at least once a week. We do chat at least once a week here. We chat about pretty much anything and everything planning. I try to give you all my tips and tricks that has helped with me with setting up my minimalist planning. So if that sounds good, consider subscribing, you guys. And in the meanwhile, I will see you guys again in my next video next week. Bye.